There he is. Hello, Ian. How are you?
How are you, sir? How you getting on?
I'm doing great. It's great to have you back on. It's great to see you in good spirits and good health. So let us start there. How are you feeling? How's your health? Obviously, last time you were in focus just a few weeks ago, you were battling a lot of stuff. So how are you feeling?
Better, good. Yes, it's that was tough. I wasn't able to get out of bed and I wasn't able to breathe that well, just coughing my lungs up. So I'm better. I'm starting training again. My lungs feel fine, so I'm ready to go. I'm getting back into it.
How long? So you officially withdrew, or at least the announcement came that you couldn't fight at 296 on the Wednesday evening. It was late Wednesday evening. How long before
Mhm.
that were you battling that illness?
So we got really, really bad a couple of days before Wednesday, and it was to the case of where I hadn't gotten out of bed in 3 days. And then I'd lost 4.5 kilos in sleep. I wasn't eating. I had no appetite. I was just in bed, sleeping, shivering. And then we called the UFC and the doctor and said, "Look, Ian's not feeling great at all." And the rest, you know about.
How difficult was that for you?
Really difficult, really upsetting. I had a little cry about it. I was upset because, firstly, I never want to pull out of a fight. It's what I love to do. It's my job, but it's also my enjoyment. It's what I love more than anything else in the world is go out there and show up and have fun. And the reason this one hurt so much was because of all the shitstorm that was going on behind the scenes. That was my opportunity to respond. That was my opportunity to show to the world that you can talk all the shit you want. No matter what, I'm going to show up in that octagon and I'm going to beat the living piss out of whoever's in front of me because that's my job. And I didn't get that opportunity, so we'll do it in February.
So that's what was so interesting. Like there were all these big names on this card, right? Leon and Colby and flyweight title and Tony and Patty. And you can make a case that your appearance, your fight was the most talked about one because of all the stuff going on and because of where you're at in your
Sure.
career. And so would you say that was the most trying time of your life and career? The fact that you're right there, you're in Vegas, you're dealing with all this shit, and now you have to withdraw. And there was a storm that came afterwards, right? Like everyone was piling on you.
I don't know if I would say it was the most trying time. It was upsetting. It was very, very upsetting, and not and hearing the fact that Dr. D was like, "There's no way you'd compete this week." If it was next week or early Jan, I would still be worried about you. Because obviously pneumonia has long-term effects that can pop up. That was hard to hear because there was nothing else I wanted to do than go out there and put on a show.
Ultimately, what was the diagnosis? It was pneumonia?
It was flu that had developed into pneumonia, and it sucked. It hurt. But that's life. Unfortunately, you've got to take it as it comes. And now we can only move and look forward to February. We have a date, we have an opponent, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to channel all of my energy, all of my missed joy from that opportunity to go out and show the world Ian Machado Garry in full flight. I'm going to just wait. I'm going to do that against Jeff in February.
So just curious, right after that event, Dana announced 299 Miami, which was March 9th. And then we found out he went back and later said February 17th, Anaheim. What changed there? Why the change in dates?
So I got a call after I'd been sick because the UFC wanted to quickly rearrange something to make sure that my fight was still going ahead. And they said to me, Vicente Luque in January or Jeff Neal in February. And I said, your doctor was literally here a couple of hours ago and told me that January is a bad idea, so I guess it's February. So I agreed. I told them. I came back to them, and that was February. So for me, it's that was it. It's like it's one of those things. It's I can't wait to fight again. And I get emotional about it still now thinking about it because that was a real opportunity to respond. And even like to answer your point, I've kind of lost your question because I'm thinking about fighting again. I'm thinking about that response, Ariel.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about going in there in California and getting that response. And yeah, it's going to be a lot of shit that's going to make me very, very happy after that fight to get my hand raised. So yeah, I'm sorry, I got just losing a bit of focus there thinking about this. But yeah, I had agreed to February,
Okay.
not to March. I don't know where that came from. I hear that and was like, what? All right, I guess it's March. And then it was later brought back to February.
And why is it Neil, who of course you were supposed to fight in August, and not Luque, who you were supposed to fight in December? Why did it go back to Neil? Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. That
Okay.
was. I think that's the fight they wanted. That's all I can assume, but I don't know.
What would you have preferred? Which scenario?
I would have preferred that I fought Luque
Yeah.
in December and Jeff Neal in February. That's what I would have preferred because I like to stay active.
But like knowing that you didn't fight in December, would you have liked to have run it back with Luque, or do you like the idea of kind of going back to Neil and then maybe Luque down the line?
The truth is, I was offered a name. I accepted that name. I got sick. They offered me another name. I accepted that name, and now I'm focused on that. There is no preferred. Jeff Neal is a higher rank. Cool, great. Luque is a lower rank. It doesn't bother me. At the end of the day, the truth is, when I show up, Machado Garry showed up to put on a show. And that's what everyone's looking out for. And that's what everyone's excited for. And the names I'm doing against is only relevant to showcase my talent of what I can do to Luque or what I can do to Jeff Neal. I'm the guy that everyone's tuning in to watch for that fight.
Okay, so you mentioned the shitstorm and all that stuff and being able to respond. What went wrong here? Why did this all start, Ian? Why do you think that there are so many people trying to hate on you, the videos, all this stuff? You put out an advert, right? You put out a thing directly responding to a lot of it. Why does it feel like all of a sudden in the last 2 months or so, all of this came your way?
I feel like a lot of people are sheep and a lot of people believe some ridiculous things online and they run with it. And then a lot gets kind of Chinese whispers taken out of context. And a lot of people don't understand my personal life or anything to do with it or anything to do with me, my family, my team. They've just heard whispers and rumors. And the truth is, people love to hate. The internet, Instagram, Twitter, all of it is a very toxic place. And especially MMA media, 99% of it is very toxic. 1 minute they love you, the next minute they hate you. We've seen it. The hate is ridiculous. The love is amazing. So I think it might have all come my way because of my success and my rise and everything I'm doing, and people either love it or they hate it. Either way, they're giving me content and they're tuning into my fights.
How were you dealing with it? I saw like one day you posted like a bunch of videos in response. I thought maybe you would ignore all the noise. You obviously kind of leaned into it, like I said, with the advert and whatnot. But how behind the scenes, no one likes to read stuff. Like it's much more fun when it's positive, right? So how were you dealing with it?
It fucking stung. It stung on a level of I've agreed, kind of not really agreed it, but I don't mind. I'm in the fight game. It's my job. It's my passion. And it's part of the game. It's the fight game. You build a fight, you sell a fight, you have some fun. But when people start attacking my loved ones with vicious, vile, untrue, and hurtful words to an obsessive level, it boiled my blood. And it boiled my blood to an extent of which I have to be the bigger man and not respond until I have the opportunity to respond, which was at UFC 296. So I was pissed. I still am pissed. And there's a lot of people I'm pissed at. But I'll get on mine back eventually. It will all come back. I will get it.
And so that's a really interesting point. Like, there have been polarizing figures in this sport, right? Perhaps none more so than Conor McGregor, someone that you look up to. But no one speaks of his partner, his fiance. Your wife, Layla, has been talked about in this story as much as you, if not maybe more than you. And so how were you both dealing with that, and how is she dealing with that?
You're right. It's like it's tough. At first, it was upsetting. It was hurtful. It was difficult. Just by the sheer amount and obsessive, like just the number of which people were attacking us, and just the constant notifications of people talking shit and people posting videos and all of this nonsense. But now, I mean, now we've come out of this stronger, knowing that the truth is the people that don't eat at our table, if you're not at our table and you don't eat at our table, then it's irrelevant what people say online. The people that are around me, the team I've surrounded myself, I love and adore my wife. I chose to be with her because she is the most inspirational person I've ever met. And I want her by my side till the very fucking end of my life. And that's my choice. I don't care about other people's opinions about what I do in my life. That's my decision. And I think that we're even having a conversation about some people talking about who I should and shouldn't be with is absolutely ridiculous. Keep your opinions to yourself and let me be me and you do you. So me and Layla are better off from it now, but absolutely we were hurt at the start. But we're very grateful to be in the position that we can grow from something so toxic.
At any point in the last few months, did it feel like it was affecting your relationship?
I mean, absolutely. How could it not? When people like, my wife was called a pedophile, a sexual predator. That's horrible to hear. That's horrible to say about someone's wife, the person that someone chose to marry and have a child with. There's people out there saying like my son isn't mine; it's somebody else's. Of course, it's going to be difficult for us because it's a lot of hurt, it's a lot of hate, and people react differently to that hate. I'm someone who will kind of forget all about it. I don't want to hear about it. I don't care about it. But then Layla's like, no, we need to talk about this. We need to talk through it because talking through it will eventually enable us to be able to get over it better together. And that's what we ended up doing. We ended up sitting down and talking about it and understanding why I was upset, why she was hurt, and dealing with it. And that's why we have been able to come out of this stronger.
So, over the past 2 years or so since you entered the UFC, I've heard you say to me and others, like, you want to be a disruptor, right? You did that
100%.
in Boston. Even in July, like you were a hot topic because you wore the T-shirt with the mugshot and whatnot.
Yeah.
Was there any part of you that came to the realization, like, hey, if I'm going to be a disruptor, I'm going to have to deal with what comes with that?
No, because my job is selling. My job is promoting my fight to the best level I can, to show up and have the most fun at the fight night I can. I'm not viciously assaulting and attacking people's families in any way, shape, or form to the way that the MMA world is going at a very toxic level. I mean, the best example is he's an absolute piece of shit for doing this, but it's a perfect example. You've got someone like Colby Covington, who isn't trash talking, he's desperate. To the point at which he mentioned a person's, his father's murder to sell a fight. He used that sore point in someone's life to try to stay relevant, to try win a mental battle. That's the point in MMA where we're at. And then we've got people like Sean Strickland who are talking all that mad stuff online, attacking people's families and people's wives. And the truth is, he is just someone who is dealing with his childhood trauma, the hurt and the pain from his past, and projecting it to the world. I am not that. I am selling a fight and having fun in my life. And that's it. I'm a disruptor. I'm a disruptor just like Jake Paul and Logan Paul and Conor McGregor and all of the best, biggest stars in the world are disruptors. But there's a fine line.
So Sean Strickland obviously put a lot of oxygen into all of this in his videos. He mentioned, but I want to ask you about the video that came out of him recently with Theo Vaughn. But when all this was going on, he mentioned seeing you at the PI. Could you tell me your side of that story?
It was, I wouldn't say it was a seeing. It was more of a glance and him being shuffled into a lift. And that was it. And he had a little snigger on his face. I shouted something at him. I don't know what I shouted at him, but I shouted something at him before I even had a chance to think. My body went straight into fight mode, and then the doors closed. That was it. There was nothing much to it, to be honest.
What do you think would have happened if you guys would have walked past each other?
I would have fucking talked to him for sure. I don't know. See, this is the thing. I'm not going to start throwing hands with the bloke because I'm a better person than that, and I would like to be above all the shit that was said, and just sit there and be like to him, I feel sorry for you, man. I feel sorry for you. I feel sorry that all this shit has you that hurt that you're attacking everybody else. I feel like that's what I'd like to say. Whether I would have said that or not, I don't know.
So then very recently, this interview comes out with him and Theo Von, and he gets very emotional, and he starts talking about some pretty heavy stuff. I mean, very hard to listen to, any child going through that. When you hear that, and then when you hear him talk about what Drickus said about him and how there's a line and that you don't talk about families, and then, of course, what he said about your family, what is your reaction?
So, and I obviously responded to that point online already. When I seen that post, I responded with a message. And this is my point that I'd like to kind of get across. I don't personally care what happened in his childhood or what happened in his past that has him the way he is now. I don't care what happened in your past. Don't attack and project your pain onto other people or to other people's families because you can't deal with it correctly. The UFCPI has mental health, has ways to deal with our athletes' mental health. Go talk to them and deal with it in the way that it should be dealt with. Talk about it. Get rid of it. Release it. Express it. Because to attack other people's families and other people's loved ones because you have trauma, childhood trauma, is completely unfair. It's inexcusable. You don't have a reason to attack other people because you are in pain. That's kind of my outlook on it. And that's where I kind of sit there and, you know, when I sit and talk to my team, like, that is kind of where I feel sorry for them. But equally at the same point, I'm like, I don't give a fuck what happened in your childhood. Don't speak in that manner about anybody else on the planet. Deal with your issues first. And if I was someone who is throwing stones in the glass house vibes, protect your house first before you start throwing at other people.
So I saw your video of your kind of like your hit list for the upcoming year. Is it accurate to say Jeff Neal, Colby, and Sean? Is that the order in a perfect world for you?
There is a yes. Yes, there is a very specific reason I would like those people. Jeff is a very good buddy for me to go off and showcase to the world just how elite I am and how good I am at what I do. Colby has also talked a lot of shit about me. He's talked about me. He's mentioned my wife. He obviously lost the fight against Colby. Colby's someone who wants those big fights, someone who's going to chat shit, someone who's going to entertain the fans, someone who's going to bring a lot of hype to the event. I am going to box the ears off Colby Covington for some of the stuff he said. And there isn't going to be anybody in that world or in this octagon who's going to be able to save him. I promise you now, I'll finish him. And I'll do it in 3 rounds. I don't need 5 rounds to finish him. I'll do it in 2. I'll do it in 1. Colby Covington's going to be slapped. And I hope I hit him so hard that he's never able to speak again. And I feel like a lot of people on this planet would be very happy that he never gets to speak on a mic again. So that's what I'd like with Colby. And whether it's this year or whether it's next year, I'd love Sean Strickland because any man or any person who ever talks or mentions me, my wife, or my family in that way, I'm going to get my hands on. And in an ideal world, towards the end of the year, I don't think Sean Strickland's going to be the world champion anymore. And I believe there's absolutely an opportunity for me to step up to middleweight and give him a hiding. And maybe I'll beat him so bad that he'll forget all that trauma from his childhood and he can thank me.
And so where does currently the champion at 170 is Leon Edwards, and obviously there was some drama with him and his team. Where does he factor into all of this?
I think this year Leon will probably fight twice. I don't believe I'll get a title shot towards the end of the year. I have work to be done right now. And I think there's guys above me still. I think there's Bilal who should be next. And then there's someone like Shavkat knocking on the door. How can they not be the next two contenders that deserve a shot at the title? So it's from a point of view of, if I don't get a Colby, I believe I'll get Colby. If I don't get a Sean Strickland vibe, I wouldn't mind taking out Kamaru Usman as well. I wouldn't mind taking out two of the baddest men on the planet in this division for so long, and then earning my title shot for next year.
Because of the illness that you were battling on Fight Week, we didn't see much of you that week. Leon had to answer a lot about you and the story that went on at Renegade. Can I ask your side of the story?
It's very simple. It's very simple. I had a very good connection with that gym, and I went up one day, and I was politely asked to not return. I then was driving up that day anyway because I had booked sessions in. I had booked people to spend time with people and do some work. And I went to Renegade to talk to Leon, and I was stopped by Ash, one of the owners of the gym, and Leon's head coach. And we sat outside and we had a conversation about it. And what I took away from that conversation was, and I've repeated this very, very clearly, that Leon and his head coach didn't want me training on the mats with Leon. He didn't want Leon having any doubts or insecurities about the team or about the mats, because there's a threat on the mats. Now, Ariel, if you're Leon's head coach and you say that to me in person and you give me a genuine reason, you're not going to turn around to Leon as Dave is not going to turn around to Leon and go, "Oh, I told him you were a threat, but he was a threat to you, by the way, and I didn't want him on the mat because I didn't want you to get anxious or insecure." He's not going to turn around and say that. No good head coach would say that to their fighter. It would only piss their fighter off. But they were the words that were said to me. And that upset me because I like the guys in that gym. I still to this day think I get along with them all because I never had any bad blood with any of them. So that upset me because I thought I had a little friendship with the people up there to a certain extent. And then, yeah, it's little things of like, if it was something to do with Renegade, there's a separate striking coach, Leon's striking coach, Henry Clemson, who I was very fond of and I like to work with. I pulled him out to Brazil to get ready for the Jeff Neal fight that ended up being the Neil Magny fight. If it was to do with Renegade, then why couldn't I train with him? Because Leon and his head coach didn't want me training with anybody Leon trained with because the doubts and insecurities. And that's it. And that's simply my side of the story from what I was told by them.
So where is your home now? Is it Brazil? Is that where you're going to be training from here on forward?
I love shoot the box. I love shoot the box. I love Brazil. I love the energy that Brazil possesses. There's just something special in the people, in the soil, in the food that they eat. There's an amazing energy. So for right now, absolutely, Brazil is my home. Diego Lima is a phenomenal man. He's an amazing human being. And what he's doing at Shoot the Box is absolutely sensational. And I'm very proud to represent and be a part of the Shoot the Box family. And he's opened his doors to me and my family. And in tough times, they were there for us. They showed us love. They said, if there's any shit on Fight Week, we'll travel every single person out to Vegas and we'll all be there for you. He said, we'll sleep on the floor. There's another, the general of the team, Cicero. He pulled my wife aside one day and he said, "Layla, we've seen all the shit online. We want you to know that we love you guys here. We love you that you bring your family here. We're a part of your team. If you need help, we're all here for you." And that's the type of people that I want to be surrounded by. That's why Brazil is my home right now. Yes.
Are you hopeful that this could be your home, like that there'll be no more moving around?
I feel like no matter what, Ariel, I'll want to move around and learn because I'm still not, I don't want to, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to reduce the opportunity to be able to travel the world and learn from such amazing people. I might travel a bit less, but I still feel like to be the most elite athlete on the planet, you need to learn from other elite athletes. And I feel like that's what I'll always try and end up doing because I have a lot of friends in this game. I have a lot of people that I will enjoy learning from. So I don't think the travel will ever stop.
It seemed like you had a great thing in Florida. Why did
Yeah.
you move on from there?
So I moved for this fight. Obviously, I was fighting Vicente Luque.
Right.
I took a step back from Kilton because I gave him the respect that you've been here, you've got your family, you've just got a house here. Let me go. I've already been and shoot the box in Brazil prior for my last camp. Let me take a step back. And I found a lot of people there that cared about me in Brazil and in shoot the box. And I've seen it with their energy with Charles Oliveira. I've seen the way they're a family. They're one. They're connected. They all care. And I feel like that's so important to me right now in my career that I want people who care. I want people who want to see me do well. And that's the reason I'm going back to Brazil is there's an energy there that's just so special.
So this camp will be for this 298 fight will be in Brazil.
Yes, we fly back to Brazil the end of this week, and we'll be there for a month, and then we'll head out to Florida from there, or to California from there.
And one last one, if I may. When all this was going on, Neil Magny spoke up about some of the issues that he had following the comments that you made about him. Do you have any regrets about those comments?
I did not make any comments about Neil Magny. Neil Magny made comments about himself. I just called him up on it. As someone with strong morals, I called him up on what he said, his wording. That's it. Nobody else did on that day. So I felt it was my job to call him up on it.
Okay, so then to take it a step further, in the last 6 or 7 months, do you wish you did any moves differently? In other words, do you wish you zigged when you zagged? Do you have any regrets that maybe you would have avoided any of this, shitstorm in the aftermath? Anything you wish you could have done differently?
No, I believe that problems and shitstorms are a part of life at times. Obviously, it hurts and it's terrible, and bad things can come from it. It's like the truth is people don't know the extent of which their words can hurt people and the damages that can come from that. So I would just say to the people that all hate, think about it next time, because it hurts, and think about when you've been hurt. It's not a nice thing to go through. But to answer your point, I think everything happens for a reason. And I know that sounds so horrible to say, like the shit that we went through happened for a reason. But I feel like me and my wife are stronger together because we've gone through such toxic pain and verbal vicious assault that we've come closer together and found that we are the better team when we're together, that we need to talk and be there for each other because I love her very much. And none of the stuff that was said about her was true. And I think that is the most hurtful for me. So when I think about all the shit, and to mention the Neil Magny thing, would I ever go back and change that someone said that they have been accustomed to giving that type of ass whooping to their child on a public platform? No, I would never change that. I have strong morals, and I would never be able to raise my hand to my child. And whether people like to think I spun it or not, they were the words that came out of that man's mouth. And I only pulled them up on it. Would I have changed the Jeff Neal thing? Fuck no. No, it was hilarious. It was fun. I had a good laugh with it. You know what I mean? That's the thing. If you're selling, no one knows who Jeff Neal is. No one knows it. I run into people on the street. Oh, when's your next fight? Cool. Who's it against? Oh, I've never heard of him. They don't know who he is. He's irrelevant. So I would not have changed anything that happened in the past, because everything happens for a reason. And all of this is a minor, tiny scale of hate, of hurt, of vicious assaulting compared to what it's going to be when I'm the world champion in a couple of years, Aaron.
At some point, do you want to be loved? Like, are you hoping that the fans come around and I remember when we first were introduced to you, it was you and your grandfather, right? I mean, how could you not fall in love with that guy? And so is there a point in your mind when you're thinking, like, at some point you want them back on your side, or do you just want to be the bad guy?
I have no intention to be the bad guy. I have an intention to have fun. I have an intention to show up and enjoy my life. And whatever way I decide to do that is my way. But whether people love me or hate me, I'm going to do what I love. I'm going to show up and fight for the UFC and be a world champion because that's what I want to do. That's my dreams, my hopes, my aspirations. Whether they love me or hate me, I'm going to reach my goals. Obviously, it would be a much nicer life if everybody loved you. But with the way the world is going and this social media becoming more accessible for people to talk shit about people, I don't know how that is. I've recently turned my comments off because for me, on Instagram, I think and sit there and say, I can protect this peace online for all the people that do love me and come to my social media to see what I'm doing, where I am, and the adventures and the freedom I'm on, and who I'm training with. I want them to see that and be excited. Not go to the comment section, go, excited for your next fight, and then see people give a wave of hate. So I've turned them off. I can protect that peace. And it's the same with fighting. If you want to show up and boo at me or you want to show up and cheer for me, either way, I'm going to go out and do my job and have fun.
Last question. Is Dublin still on the radar for this year?
Aaron, I hope so. I really, really hope so. I'm going to push for it like I always do. I know Dana said Dublin in a video recently and then said he was talking about a boxing event. So I don't know what the UFC's plans are. But I believe that if the timeline will work correctly and I fight Jeff Neal in February and I knock him unconscious and then Conor McGregor is back supposedly as according to himself on June 29th against Michael Chandler, well, I would absolutely love the opportunity to fight Colby Covington on the card. I think that would be a very powerful card for me to make a statement against Colby and bury him and put him into the dirt face down. I don't see after that fight why I couldn't try get them back to Ireland, why I couldn't try shout for that. I'll do my very best and I'll keep trying until it happens.
All the best to you, Ian. Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it. Good luck in training. Safe travels to Brazil. Happy to hear that you are healthy and in good spirits, and can't wait for your return on February 17th.
I appreciate it. Thank you. The response is going to be insane.
Thanks for watching. We appreciate it very much. Hey, if you like this video, give us the old thumbs up. Subscribe as well. You could get many more of these videos on the channel, so please do that. We would love you forever if you did so.